Have you ever heard of somebody who abducts little boys?
Room below's got some horrible smells.
We don't want to go in there.
What are you doing?
Complimentary room service. There is that.
Hello and welcome to another Dollar Store Drive-In. I'm your host Laura.
I'm Joel.
And we're the Newly Dads.
Yes.
And we are coming at you with another fun video this week. Just to let you know, if this is your first time watching, this is a half-hour chat show where we discuss a movie that we've watched. And if this is not your first time watching, welcome back. This is also a podcast that we like to upload to Spotify. So if you are listening to us, thank you for that. This is a visual show, though, so we highly recommend that you check us out. And you can find us at thenewlydads.com for all of your Newly Dads needs. On our website, we have a lot of different information about where you can find us. We also have a YouTube show where we Mr. Newly Dad does unboxing videos, and we do snack videos and other things like that. So we highly recommend looking up all of our information there. He also does a blog post. Blog posts are really important for Mr. Newly Dad because he likes to review lots of movies, and we highly recommend that you look them up because there's a lot of cool information on there about different movies and things that he's been watching. Occasionally, I will also do some blog posts. So those blog posts are usually related to small businesses. So I do like to review small businesses. So if you have one, you can contact me at contact@thenewlydads.com. But this is a show that we're going to talk about a movie. So I want to talk a little bit about our criteria for that. In order for us to keep this on a structured kind of platform, we do have several pieces of criteria that we follow. So the first one is that the movie needs to be under $5. Mm-hmm. It needs to be a horror, thriller, or sci-fi genre movie, and it needs to be a movie that neither of us have ever watched. This week we found this movie, I think, was it at the Hidden Treasures? All right. Yep. So we do like to find things out in the random wild. Sometimes we find them at the dollar store, Dollar Tree. But we found a huge plethora of awesome movies. Awesomely bad, some of them. This week we found it at the Hidden Treasures. So that is located here in, I believe it's in Loves Park is the address. It's not Machese Park, it's Loves Park. He'll probably put the information up there for you so you can check them out also if you're local. If not, you want to visit the Rockford/Northern Illinois area, come do that. We are always out and about doing stuff, so you might even run into us occasionally. But the movie that we watched this week is Matriarch. It's got a nice long synopsis on it too, so I'm pretty excited about that because he does like to do some fun little acting. So that's why I said if you are listening to us on Spotify, I highly recommend that you do check us out because it is a visual show. So he does a lot of editing, a lot of fun things that he puts in there. And sometimes you see our dogs. Shaggy's panting away over here and popping his head up and down. So are you ready for me to read the synopsis?
Yeah.
All right, let's get into this. This terrifying thriller unfolds as pregnant Rachel and her husband Matt are stranded after wrecking their car on a remote Scottish road. So there you go. We weren't sure where it was located. Though hostile at first, a nearby farmer and his wife welcome them in after learning that Rachel is with child. Suddenly, Rachel realizes the family's daughter is a local girl who'd gone missing years before. But when she and Matt attempt to escape, they're held at gunpoint just as Rachel goes into labor. Will their child's first day on Earth be the couple's last? Only we will find out. And you will if you find this movie, Matriarch, somewhere in the wild.
Yeah. It is currently streaming on Amazon Prime.
There you
If you're
go.
interested. Yeah.
Yeah. So, if you want to watch this, we highly recommend trying to check it out too. It's always fun to get some feedback. Occasionally we do get some feedback.
Yep.
And we always appreciate that. So
Absolutely.
awesome. Should we get into the trailer?
Might as well.
All right. So this week, let's see. Let's have it be just like a old timey cart with like a broken wheel. Like a squeaky old cart. Can you do that for us?
I mean, sure.
Sure. All right. So we're going to pause it. We'll be right back. And we will come back and talk about the meat and potatoes of the movie. So we'll be right back.
You okay? Baby okay?
We're okay.
It's like a farm or something over there. This is private land! I know, I'm really sorry, but my wife is heavily pregnant.
Well, why didn't you see?
What a blessing to have you here. I'm very proud of my boys. Fine specimens, don't you think? Yes. Don't you be getting any ideas, young lady?
Okay.
My boys. It's not just creepy. It's beyond that. There's something sinister about these people. We need to go. Now.
Meet
No, it won't be long now. What have you done?
the mother
Why would you do this?
of all horror.
Give me my baby. My baby! And so everything. Your world's infected. And we're the light.
Matriarch.
And we're back. What you got there, Mr. Newly Dead?
So whenever we watch a movie, I'll take notes digitally. And then at the end of the year, Mrs. Newly Dead will put them together into a flip book that you can check out on our aforementioned website. 2023 and 2024 are both available on the site currently. So if you want to go over there, you can check those out, see what I write, see the pictures that I draw, kind of background information as far as kind of what we were doing when we were recording the show. But it provides us a structure so we can kind of know what happened, when it happened, and kind of what we were thinking about it at the time. Mrs. Newly Dead this year has vowed to take notes the entire year, and so far, she's done
So
it.
good.
Now, she's taken analog notes, so that still remains to be seen whether they'll appear on the website.
I
But
keep saying, yeah, they will, but we'll see about that.
but she we'll look at each other's notes here. We'll kind of describe what's on there, kind of share what we were doing at the time, and then we'll get into the show. So
Big-eyed dude. Oh, has he got glasses?
yeah,
Yeah.
kind of a crosshatchy sort of.
Yeah, it's
thing.
cute. I like it. It says Crash, and you drew a record.
Yeah,
Yeah, what does that say?
Spin the Black Circle,
Spin the Black Circle.
like the song by Pearl Jam.
I like it. It's very cute. It's very, not plain, but it's pretty basic. That probably took you a while to do, though, because there's a lot of grooves and lines. And
Oh, I just went.
yeah, well, he did
Yeah.
a really good job. I also did some fun little things on here. I wrote Matriarch, pretty big.
You got a illustrative lettering.
I didn't
lettering?
quite finish the entire thing, but that's okay. I drew a picture of Bob, the bad,
I noticed it.
the bad guy.
Get off my land.
Yeah, so get off my land. And I wrote twist.
Yeah, I wrote twist on mine too.
Ah.
Yeah, I wrote. See at the bottom there.
Twist.
I wrote a little bit more than twist because there is a twist, and I don't know. We'll decide somewhere through the course of the show if we're going to give away the twist or not. So,
Yeah.
The Matriarch is from 2018, so relatively new. Currently sitting at 5.2 out of 10 on the Internet Movie Database.
Bad.
This was written, directed, and co-stars Scott Vickers. He did everything in this, just about. So he's done lots of shorts, some TV, and he's got two things in production currently, films. One is called Shelter, and the other one's called Devil's Daughter. So he's kind of new to the game, I guess. As far as writing credits go, He wrote the shorts, the TV thing, and Shelter. Only Devil's Daughter. He did not write that one. So, and then of course this. Now this stars Charlie Blackwood as our aforementioned pregnant leading lady, who was in something called Toxica. Clay's Redemption. I don't know what Clay did to need to redeem themselves. And Sal Azul,
Salazul.
which
It's a fun word to say.
Azul is pale, but Sal, S-A-L, I'm not sure what that means.
Salazul.
But something pale. Maybe the pale, or no, that would not be. Sal would not be. Anyway, I'll look it up. I'll put it in here.
Yeah.
Like I said, Scott Vickers is also in this. He plays the husband. He's done a lot of TV, and he's in Devil's Daughter. Like I said, jack of all trade. This also stars Brittany Monroe, who was in something called Deep Poopy. I'll leave the word out that they said.
Oh.
The Slave and the Sorcerer.
Nice.
And Dragon Knight.
Mm.
And then this also stars Thorin Ferguson, who was in Stockholm Bloodbath, which sounds like something we need to see at some point.
Yeah.
Consecration, and then some TV and short films. So at this point, my wife turns to me and says,
"What'd you think?"
And now's when we get into the real deal. So it starts out, there's this couple, they're driving, and she's pregnant, and they're talking, and he's not paying attention or something, and all of a sudden he ends up
saw a boat or something. You said, right?
Oh yeah, there was a boat on the side of the road, and he was like admiring the boat. It looked like he was like, "Oh yeah, it's a nice looking boat. I wonder if Luke left it here." And then he crashes into the foliage on the side of the road.
Just,
and, yeah, like
I was like, did he just like drive it into the woods? Like, what the heck? But apparently there was a tree that had fallen.
Supposedly, yeah, there was.
Yeah.
We didn't really see the trees falling.
It looked like he veered off the road and ran into like a brush, like a bunch of brush. And
but
stuff.
the car was smoking, and it apparently was enough that they couldn't leave because they couldn't drive. And of course, they're out in the middle of the wilderness, so to speak, farmland, and so their phones don't get any reception.
Nope. He climbs up in a tree, tries to get some reception.
Nothing.
Nada.
Because that's what you do. You climb up in the tree. And,
I mean, gotta do what you gotta do, man.
Might work.
Yeah.
And so they end up walking back to where they're like, well, let's get to wherever we can get to try and get help. And they come across a farm that says, do not enter, private land, whatever. And they get up there and they'll go into the house, and all of a sudden this guy pulls up in the truck, bald guy Bob. And he's like, "Get off my land!" And he's like, "Oh, we need help." And he's like, "I don't care, go."
Get off my land. I heard. Did you not hear me? Did I stutter? Like, yeah, he was
kind of surly.
Grouchy. Yeah.
And then he's like, "My wife's pregnant." He's like, "Yeah."
I don't care.
And he's like,
and then he's like, "Wait a minute.
What kind of kid are you having?"
You're pregnant?
He's like, "We're having a boy." And he's like, "Oh, let me call the wife and come on in."
Why didn't you say that you were pregnant to begin with? Oh, and you're having a boy. Then he calls his wife on like a walkie-talkie or something, and she's like, tell him to leave or whatever. And then he's like, she's pregnant with a boy, and then she's like, oh, why didn't you say that?
Let's bring out the best of everything.
Yeah.
And at that point, you immediately go, "Oh no!"
Right.
Things are going to go sideways, which
so sideways.
You kind of guessed if you read the back of that thing. So they go up to the house, and she's there with her two sons that are creepy and creepier.
Yeah. These are my boys.
And they're like, "You can stay overnight. Like our phone doesn't work. Everything's down because of the storms. Cell phones don't work. We'll make you dinner. We'll get you a place to stay. You'll be fine.
You have a bed. It's completely fine. Like you're going to stay here for the rest of your life, basically."
And they realize that things are kind of weird and it feels wrong, and they're just thinking they got to leave. But
she keeps seeing like a little girl and stuff. She's like not little. She's probably 14.
No, I was thinking like 12, 10 or 12.
Yeah.
There. And then all of a sudden, light bulb, she realizes that the little girl is a girl that had been kidnapped many years before.
Yeah.
And she's like, "We got to get out of here. We got to get help." And next thing you know, they're being held at gunpoint, being held captive. They're going to take the baby.
They separate them. So like the husband disappears. She doesn't know where the husband went. And so she's like kind of freaking out a little bit. And then they're like, kidnappy. They put her in cuffs, and
they're like super duper religious. Like even just the slightest, like even whiff of something improper, not even like saying anything improper, just like a whiff of it that all of us, even like hardcore, like people who are really hardcore about, improper things would have been like, what are you nuts? This isn't improper.
Yeah. Like, so when they're serving dinner, for instance, with the creepy sons and stuff, they said they freshly slaughtered a lamb and it was still warm when it went in the oven. Gross.
It's like sad.
Yeah. And so, they're like, okay, well, let's eat some lamb stew. So she feeds the man first, and then the woman puts her plate out and she's like, yeah, no. So she gives all the men stew first and then serves the lady.
Yep.
So that there's something like weirdly up. And she's like, yeah, these are my two boys, and like kisses them really inappropriately on the mouth. Like a loving kiss. It's not just like a, kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's like a kind of thing. Yeah, very creepy.
And the woman's like, hey, is your daughter going to join us? And they're like, well, maybe. She's don't know.
She's like, oh, if we're lucky.
She might be around.
Yeah.
But she doesn't.
No.
So things go obviously from bad to worse, and we won't get into all the details of the movie, but
because we want you to watch it.
Needless to say, it felt like kind of the UK version of kind of Hicksploitation, which takes a lot of forms. Hicksploitation could be something like, Moonshine Mountain, like, the Al Adamson film, or it could be something more like this, or even for all intents and purposes, technically Wolf Creek might even be considered kind of a peripheral
kind of backwoods
exploitation. Yeah, where you're dealing with people in America, like Appalachian, it's even like
Hills Have Eyes.
Yep. And what's the one that had 7,000 sequels? Wrong Turn.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of notorious.
Very much so, like a Wrong Turn kind of thing.
Like where deliverance goes really wrong.
Yes.
So I like Hicksploitation, but they make me feel really weird and uncomfortable. But that's maybe part of the reason I kind of like it, because it's the part of the fun, if you want to say, because these aren't always fun movies, is you can see it potentially happening when you don't have like the mutations and things like that.
Yeah, because I have like gone to places that's like super rural, and like, you feel like an outsider sometimes when you're there, and then sometimes people aren't really friendly and you think they're gonna be, because it's like a little town and you're like, oh, this is gonna be like a perfect little, like, I don't know, we watch Gilmore Girls, so it's like Stars Hollow or something, and it's
second reference.
Yeah, it's like I know. It's like you open up the door to the bar, and then the music stops and everyone turns and looks at you like, you're an outsider, get out of here, kind of thing. That's what it kind of felt like.
It's an uncomfortable reality that, is just that. It could potentially be a reality of sorts.
Almost kind of. It's not like this movie by any means, but they do run into some other people in the vicinity. So it's almost kind of reminiscent of like House of a Thousand Corpses, where like a lot of the people that are in the town around them are kind of part of it,
or they at least know the reputation and either like just leave them alone, or they're like, oh, I get along with Bill. They're not party to what's going on necessarily, right? But they know what's going on. But they know,
and they're like, we don't mess with Bob. Yeah.
And like David Lynch made a career out of kind of what's on the underside of small town suburbia.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've lived in or know people or whatever in really small towns, I'm talking like under 1,000 people, some of the worst stuff happens in those places. No offense to those places. Some of them are lovely, but there are some of them where, and it's just not talked about. And that's kind of what it felt like here, is that, in a big city, that stuff kind of gets lost in the shuffle. But in small towns, it's, less people and a little bit more out in the open. But it, kind of, I said, if I'm going to take my pick, I'd probably like a good old, slasher, kaiju, mutant, critters sort of thing, where it's a little bit more understandable what's happening. And I think that's kind of a double-edged sword, because when you don't know what's going on, again, it makes it a little more uncomfortable.
Yeah. I thought everybody, I wrote down every person in this world is an arsehole. Like, obviously, like from the back of the thing that they do get kidnapped. We've mentioned that they get kidnapped. And of course, to move the story along, there's got to be points where like, maybe they escape a little bit and then like, things happen. There is a point where, like I said, they do meet some other people in the community. The husband actually does, and he's in a rough shape. I mean, he's been gone through the ringer and
we can say,
not wearing any clothes
he-
at this point. Yeah, there's a chunk of time where the person who wrote it and is starred in it, you said, right? It was the husband.
Yeah.
He
Scott
was
Vickers.
fully naked there for a while, and then finds like this piece of cloth randomly, like by a waterfall.
It was his cardigan, like his sweater he had on.
Oh, was it his
Yeah,
cardigan?
they were ditching his clothes.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, that was his sweater.
So he was like, "Oh, look at this! It's fortuitous that it was like thrown by this like random stream."
Yeah.
And so he rips it and kind of wears it like a loincloth kind of thing.
What you gonna do?
Yeah, and then finds these guys that are like camping, and they're jerks too. Like I'm like, oh great, they're gonna find some people to get some help, or no, like they're like, back off, dude, like stay back, dude. I don't know. Obviously, this guy's in distress, and he's saying like my wife's in
Pregnant.
danger, like she's pregnant. I need help. Like he's completely like nude except for this like sweater that's like loosely tied around his waist, and they're just being like major jerks to him.
I mean,
so
they could either have driven him to the local authorities, or just said, wait here, we'll drive to the authorities, we'll be right back. Or, I mean, they knew the phones didn't work, so that was a given. But, I mean, there was all kinds of ways they could have took it. Instead, they took it as like, we're not going to do nothing. You need to get out of here before we beat you up. And incidentally, I don't think this is giving anything away, but he gets buried alive because they're trying to get rid of him, and he gets out of it. And I got to say, I don't know about you, but I think being buried alive is on my top 10 worst ways to die, potentially.
yeah, being buried or like in some sort of small enclosure is definitely like
trapped
nightmare
underneath
fuel
it.
for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a building falling. Or...
I don't like being in a small space. I'm not necessarily claustrophobic, but I'm like claustrophobic adjacent, because like I'm okay in elevators and things like that, but like one time somebody tied me in my hoodie and I lost my freaking mind. I don't like being like where I feel like I'm gonna suffocate. And so, yeah, like just watching him struggle in this coffin that they made for him just underground, and he realizes that he's been buried. It's just like,
it took him a while to figure it out, and the way he kind of figured it out was kind of neat. Won't give that away, but
yeah,
just spelunking is off the to-do list.
Yeah.
So we'll leave out the very end, but let's just say that there is a shotgun off, which is kind of an interesting thing that I've not seen quite the way they did it before.
Rifle shotgun kind of, yeah.
And in the end, you're not sure how it's going to go. There's a couple different things that potentially could have gone sideways, or that could have ended differently.
Because you're like, is it the whole town that's like in this, or is it not? Like, yeah.
Could be a little bit of both. Could be, there's all kinds of ways this could have ended. And I felt like that's one of the things that I appreciated about the movies, that I felt like they did kind of stick the landing.
Yeah.
You figured it out early on what was going to happen, but even up to the very last minute, we're still kind of like,
yeah, the twist was great. Mm-hmm.
But I felt like it was an earned ending, and was a nice little period to the sentence.
Yeah.
So
do you have some final thoughts?
Are we at that point?
I
oh, wow.
feel like we
I think we are.
Close, yeah.
So my final thoughts were, I wasn't sure, but the ending got me.
Oh. And it's funny that some of the stuff you said earlier on when you were talking about like how you felt about the movie, because my final thought was, this is like a British or UK version of Hills Have Eyes. I said kind of flick. I said, but it's a little bit predictable, but it's still pretty creepy.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like you haven't seen some of these themes before, but maybe not in the mixture.
Yeah.
It's like, they made a cake, but they used some different ingredients than what you're used to.
They took some eggs from over here and some flour from over there, like, and kind of mixed them together. And I feel like in a unique way.
Yeah. I thought overall it was pretty well done. And I just realized I didn't write down what I gave it, because I have a Letterboxd account, and I always rate all the movies I watch, and I didn't
You can find
this one.
his information on Letterboxd.
So I can put it up here for you.
Pop that up there for you.
But it will give away my thoughts on the movies early, because I review them as soon as I'm done with them. So
yeah.
Side note, if you don't want to know, wait until after the show before you go check. Anyway.
Yeah.
So out of what?
Chains. So many chains.
So many chains. It's like Hellraiser.
There were so many chains. So what would you give it?
Out of 5 chains, I ended up giving it 2.5.
Me too.
Oh, great minds think alike.
Yeah. I didn't even know, I don't know like the rating of the actual movie before he tells us while we're sitting here, because I don't look at his notes pre-game or anything like that, and he doesn't look at my notes, and we try to have this as like a fresh perspective every single time.
Yep.
So it's interesting that it was 5.2 out of 10 and we gave it 2.5 out of 5, because I feel like we're kind of spot on with what the audience and stuff is thinking.
Funny how that works out. Although last week we were you and I were polar opposites.
We were way off.
But anyway, so
yeah. Awesome. So if you if you don't want to watch this,
which we recommend you do,
we do. What would you recommend that they watch?
I had a lot of trouble with this. Like, it took me until this morning to finally come up with a decision. And there's no specific analog that's going to match this.
No.
So I had to kind of pick and choose between, kidnapping, exploitation, whatever. And I feel like this movie is heavily underrated. So I figured I'd go with this from that perspective. So the movie I chose was Eden Lake from 2008. Now, Eden Lake stars Kelly Riley, who most people now know her from that show with Kevin Costner. Tennessee.
Yeah, it's one of the.
What is it?
Yeah.
Nashville. No, it's some.
It's a word.
Yeah, it's a word.
It's not Yellowstone.
It is Yellowstone.
It is Yellowstone.
Yeah, Kelly Riley plays the spouse, I think, on that show. She's a fantastic actress. I'm a fan of hers. I've been a fan since I saw her in Eden Lake, actually. And she was in the Sherlock Holmes movies, the Guy Ritchie ones. Anyway, great actress. And then her co-star is Michael Fassbender.
Yeah.
You're like, Michael Fassbender and Kelly Riley in a like a low budget horror movie.
All right.
So basically the premise is they're a couple. They're out, camping. They get overtaken by some chavs, which if you're unfamiliar with the term chav, it's basically juvenile delinquent kids in the UK. So they're like kids that are like 14, 15 years old that just do horrible things to this couple, and kidnap them and hold them, and do terrible things to them. And then it ends up, they escape, they get to this like house, and things just go from bad to worse. And it's got a nice little twist to it that I won't give away the ending. Not the same twist as this, and it's not the same storyline, but if you've never seen it, it's heavily underrated.
I haven't seen it. I'd like to check it out. So maybe we can watch that sometime.
Eden Lake.
Can't watch it for this though, because he's already seen it.
I've already seen it.
All right. What do we watch next week?
So you remember we watched Curse of the Wolf and the She-Beast. So it's the next one under Curse of the Wolf.
I'm excited.
Are you? I don't know if you will be after you find out what it is.
Blood Predator?
Yep. From 2007.
And are they the same on here? Yes.
So once we finish this disc, we'll flip to the other one for the future movies. Which that one's got all the old ones on it. So I'm looking forward to that.
Okay. So it's a very short synopsis. So I'm sorry about that. But
that's all right.
Yeah. Blood Predator. So stranded in the mountains, the survivors of a jet crash are forced to fight off a rapidly multiplying extraterrestrial beast. So it sounds kind of like Predator, maybe, like meets
Alive,
Yellow Jackets.
Oh,
well, or
that's
Alive.
a more recent.
Yeah.
Alive, I was just thinking because it might be a little bit more grounded in reality, but Yellow Jackets is also grounded in reality. Just
interesting
side turn. So
yeah, I'm excited when we get to finally watch Chupacabra versus the Alamo.
Yeah, we've got multiple versions of that, so I don't know which one. We've got 2 options in the box that could pull up at any time.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
and yet it hasn't shown up yet.
Oh,
weird.
I know.
The poster for this one is a trip, by the way. I showed you the poster.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was quick. I feel like that was a fast little show we had, but it's always the same amount of time. So we enjoyed it. I feel like I enjoyed this one. All right. Well, thank you very much for watching. And until next time,
keep it cheap and creepy.
Bye.
Doesn't mean you should go chasing the dead.
It may be your robot, but it's my house.
I want to get a close look at these sharks.
Sounds dangerous.
Well, be careful.
I love you so much more than words can ever express. So this year, I got you something you'll never forget. Not some cheesy gold pendant or stuffed heart bear. Something I think shows I really do care.
Oh, I
A dual function chopping machete with a serrated stainless steel blade for bonsai capability. Oh, honey, you know me too well.